Hello there, welcome to PEERFEST once again. I'm excited to take this module 1 with you. We'll be talking about setting personal and business goals. It's still Q1, the year is still new. A lot of you must have started with New Year resolutions. I don't do New Year resolutions, and you also know why. Anyway, a goal is like a New Year resolution for a business, but where it differs is this: you can afford to not do your New Year resolution and just let it die on January 2nd. But with a business goal, it's more serious than that, because a goal determines the direction of your business, the resources you'll be using, how you are going to be measuring your achievements, then knowing this decision: should I continue, should I stop? A goal has all of that, and that is where it is different from your New Year resolution. The origin of all goals: where does goal come from? How do I start setting my goal? It starts from your desire and your ambition. When you think about your business, what do you see? How does it inspire you? What heights can you see you getting to? That is what you set your goal around. So if what excites you about your business is the revenues you can make, then start setting goals about revenue. Then it will become clearer to you the things you should do, the things you should stop doing to grow that revenue. If what excites you, what is most ambitious to you about your business are the customers you could serve, the ways you could make their lives better, then you should have goals around customer acquisition, about growth, about entering new markets, about customer retention, and all of that. All goals are valid. As long as it is your desire, it is your ambition, you will have the energy to pursue it. So it is valid. However, we have to look at the practical side of it. Not all goals are practical. What makes a goal practical or not is resources. If you don't have the resources, can you get it? If you can't get it, then maybe it's not yet time for you to pursue that goal. You have to align resources to your goals. That is what makes it realistic. I'm sure we all have heard about SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. All this just shows that you must be clear about it. You must be able to measure it, whether you are hitting your figures, whether you are getting on track, and you must be realistic. Look at the resources that it will take. Is it attainable by you? Because looking at resources is not as if you are condemning yourself to being poor or to remaining small. You are not going to remain small, and that is why you are taking this course. No, you're going to grow. But because you need to start from somewhere, you need to start from where you are now. So you have to take stock of what you have at the moment, or what you can get at the moment. What you can get has to do with your ability to raise funds. It could be equity, it could be debt, it could be grants. We'll talk more about this in module 4. So look at what resources you have or can get, and then that tells you, should I pursue this goal? Should I pursue it now or later? Or should I abandon it totally? Because you have to start. So you can only start when you have the resources. We'll be talking about alignment, about course correction, about pivoting, that is changing course. At the end of this module, you will know what goals to pursue, because goals will make you accountable and decisive, and to enable you to measure how fast your organization is growing and what your core competencies are. A business goal is an endpoint what you want to achieve. When you close your eyes, when you close that mental eyes, that inner picture that you see, when your business is doing well, what does it really mean? What does it translate to? What is that inner picture? But now you have to put it down on paper. Let it not just stop as the inner picture you see. Make it tangible. So you have to write down your goals. You have to talk about it often. You have to talk about it using many channels, which means as you're pitching it to investors, you're talking about it to your friends, to your collaborators, and then they're able to look within themselves and see what they can contribute to making that goal a reality, which is where fundraising is important, which is where collaboration is important, because I've talking about it to investors, talking about it to your network, because you're going to be leveraging all of these capacities to make your goal a reality. Resource allocation is very important to goals. If you have written down your goals but you've not started allocating resources to them, it's just a fancy statement on paper or on your laptop. But by the time you start allocating money to it, allocating people, your staff, teams, allocating, okay, this supplier will give us credit, which means you have allocated that supplier relationship in pursuit of those goals. You are allocating, oh, my mentor has this experience, so you are leveraging your mentor's experience and his network to achieve your goals. Those are the resources that make a goal become an achievement. So it's going to cost you something, and you have to actively plan for what resources am I going to allocate to my goals to make it to reality. The resources include people, skills. They don't necessarily have to be your own skills. You can hire experts, so your money will do that for you. You can hire experts, you can have people intern at your organization. As they are learning, they are also contributing their fresh education to the pursuit of your goals. And it is always important to allocate a budget to a goal. I define a budget as allocating money to pursue a goal and to make it realistic. So it's not just skills, money is involved. So every goal, for it to become a reality, needs to have its own budget. You understand? So you leverage your network, the skills, the connections, the experience of your mentors. Your mentor can give you a template which they've been using for the past 10 years, which means their 10-year experience is being brought to bear on that project which you are using the template for. By the time you start executing, it looks as if you have 10 years experience because you've leveraged your mentor and the relationships and the networks that they have. The internet is also a very veritable resource to use. Free information, how to do this, how to do that. You get information on the internet, you see reviews, people who have trodden that path, the mistakes they made, so you know what pitfalls to avoid. So the internet is a veritable resource, and there is need to align resource with the outcomes you want to get. So now moving on to alignment. Often as a business, we have many divisions, we have many teams, we have many activities going on at the same time. It is very important that each activity has a meeting point where it starts contributing to the overarching goal of your organization. If you take stock and see that all the activities that your business is pursuing, they are too disparate, there's no meeting point, then it is time for you to refine your goals and maybe take a decision to cut one of them if it's not making ends meet. Let me give you an example. You know, in those days, when a lawyer registers a business for you, in your object clause, your articles of association, the first line could be importer and exporter, and the next line will be real estate, and the third line will be manufacturer. Those are different activities that don't necessarily have a meeting point. For a new business, you are not a conglomerate yet. You shouldn't actually do that in your business. These days, the CAC, the banks, they are frowning at such businesses. I mean, they give room for money laundering, so they don't even design your object clause like that again. The point I'm trying to make is the fact that you can do it does not mean you should. Otherwise, you'll be frittering away precious resources and you might not even achieve any one of them perfectly. So when you look at your goals, your different activities as a business, and they are not aligning, then it is time to refine them. And refinements can mean course correction or pivoting, which means we are changing course, we are changing direction. In accounting, we talk of make or buy decision. Should we make this thing or should we go to the market and buy it? The equivalent of that in goal setting is, do we continue or do we stop? When you are pivoting, it means you are changing to something else entirely. Pivoting is a core skill for every entrepreneur. The same way you had an idea and decided it was time to start the business, when things are no longer working, then you should also know when to stop expending resources on that path, on that business idea, and when to pursue other goals. Knowing when to pivot is also a core entrepreneurial skill. But how do you know when to pivot? This is where measuring comes into place. Remember we said SMART goals, and SMART is an acronym. The M is being measurable. Your goals must have a specific value so that you'll be able to track this as time goes on. You're not just going to track at the end of the time you have allotted. No, there should be periodic assessments. It could be weekly, it could be daily, it could even be monthly, where you look at how things are going, how the figures are lining up, or whether they are not lining up at all. You take measurement. You could have a chart so that when you input your figures, it shows, is it moving up, is it moving down? That kind of visual representation of your progress is very good for decision making. and you know whether it's time to change course and allocate your resources elsewhere, or maybe you are doing very well and you can allocate more resources to that goal and even obtain better results. That is what measuring does. In our live class on Zoom, we're going to be taking a look at different kinds of businesses and defining what goals are obtainable in that kind of business. We're going to be allocating resources to them. We're going to create timelines by which we track achievements and how to measure progress on those goals. Then we're going to be looking at the markers, the things that tell us whether to pivot or to change course. All this will be hands-on, and I promise you to have an engaging session. I can't wait to see you in class.